You think the safest place in the world is your cozy, warm bed? You are dead wrong. In reality, every single night when you lay your head down, you are stepping into a psychological torture chamber where your own brain is ready to betray you, your body is locked down in chains, and monsters from the prehistoric era come back to life. Welcome to the terrifying and mesmerizing world of sleep. A place where you spend 1/3 of your existence, yet understand absolutely nothing about. Let's start with the most horrifying experience a human being can endure, something that makes even the most hardened atheists start praying. You wake up in the dead of night. Your eyes are wide open, staring at the ceiling. You hear the wind howling outside. Everything seems normal until you try to lift a finger. You can't. You try to scream for help. Your throat is frozen. You are completely paralyzed, as if tons of wet concrete are crushing your body into the mattress. And then, from the darkest corner of the room, a shadow begins to move. It crawls up onto the bed, sits squarely on your chest, and stares right into your soul with glowing red eyes. Welcome to the phenomenon of sleep paralysis. For thousands of years, humanity believed this was the work of demons. In Western folklore, it was the old hag. In Japan, it's kaneshibari, or being bound by metal. But science calls this a technical glitch of your biological safety valve. When you enter REM sleep, your brain activates a mechanism called atonia. It effectively severs the connection between your brain and your spinal cord, paralyzing all your voluntary muscles, except for your eyes and lungs. Why is your brain so cruel? To protect you. Without atonia, you would physically act out every single thing in your dreams. If you dreamt of fighting a bear, you would punch your partner in the face or dive headfirst into the wall. Sleep paralysis happens when you wake up too early. The consciousness part of your brain flips the lights on, but the body part forgets to unlock the atonia valve. You're trapped in a temporary corpse. And that demon sitting on your chest, that is your brain panicking. When it realizes the body cannot move and the chest feels heavy due to deep relaxation, the brain frantically invents the most logical explanation for that fear. There must be someone or something sitting on me. It is a hallucination born of pure terror, and ironically, the more scared you get, the more real the demon becomes. But if sleep paralysis is the feeling of being crushed, the next phenomenon is the feeling of being thrown off a cliff. You finally snap out of the paralysis, drink some water, and decide to go back to sleep. You start drifting off, dreaming about winning the lottery or a beach vacation, when suddenly, bang! Your body jerks violently, your heart pounds like a jackhammer, and you feel like you just missed a step and plummeted 10 stories down. You wake up, confused and embarrassed, hoping nobody saw that ridiculous spasm. Science calls this the Hypnic Jerk, but I prefer to call it the ancestral slap. Let's rewind a few million years. Where did our primate ancestors sleep? In trees. Sleeping in trees is great for avoiding lions, but it has one fatal flaw: gravity. If you fall, you die. When you drift into sleep too quickly today, your heart rate and breathing slow down rapidly, and your muscles relax completely. Your ancient reptilian brain, the most primitive part of your operating system, gets confused. It misinterprets this sudden deep relaxation as the signal that you were falling through the air. In a panic, your brain screams, "Wake up, you idiot, you're falling out of the tree," and sends a massive electrical surge to your spinal cord to jerk your muscles back into action, hoping you will grab a branch and save your life. Even though you are currently lying on a memory foam mattress in a secure apartment, the wild animal inside your brain hasn't updated its software. It still thinks you're a monkey dozing off on a branch in the African savanna, trying to save you from a fall that isn't happening. It's a sweet gesture, but incredibly annoying. So, Why do we have to put up with all these risks? Why didn't evolution design an animal that never sleeps so we could hunt 24/7? The answer lies in the price of wakefulness. Sleep is not rest. It is a heavy-duty industrial cleaning shift. Imagine your brain is like a frat house after a wild party. Every thought, every calculation, every moment of stress during the day creates metabolic waste, specifically toxic proteins like beta amyloid. If this trash isn't cleared out, it clumps together, kills brain cells, and leads to Alzheimer's disease. But the brain doesn't have a lymphatic system like the rest of the body to flush out toxins. So what does it do? This is where it gets both magical and horrifying. When you enter deep sleep, your brain cells physically shrink. They reduce their size by up to 60%. This creates massive gaps between the cells, allowing cerebrospinal fluid to rush in like a flash flood, washing all the toxins down to the liver for disposal. This is called the glymphatic system. In other words, every night you have to trade your consciousness so your brain can literally wash itself with fluid. If you don't sleep, your brain effectively becomes a garbage dump, drowning in its own waste. Sleep is the rent you pay to keep your sanity. However, modern humans are a stubborn and arrogant species. We hate sleeping because it wastes time we could spend binge-watching shows or working late. So we invented the world's most popular anti-sleep weapon, caffeine. Coffee, tea, energy drinks, we chug them and believe we are gaining energy. This is a spectacular scam. Caffeine does not give you a single unit of actual energy, not one. Its mechanism is that of a master deceiver. Inside your brain, there is a chemical called adenosine. Think of adenosine as a fuel gauge. The longer you are awake, the more adenosine builds up, binding to receptors in your brain to signal, hey, we are tired, let's sleep. When the adenosine levels get high enough, sleep pressure crushes you. But when you drink a double espresso, the caffeine molecules rush into the brain. Because they look chemically identical to adenosine, caffeine steals the seats, the receptors, first. The result? The adenosine is still there, still screaming that you're exhausted, but the brain can't hear it because caffeine has gagged the receptors. You feel alert, but it is a borrowed alertness, a chemical lie. And the terrifying part is that when the liver finally processes the caffeine, the barrier vanishes. All that massive pile of adenosine that has been building up for hours floods the receptors all at once. This is the caffeine crash. You cannot cheat biology. You were just playing hide and seek with exhaustion, and exhaustion always finds you. Even when you are caffeinated, sometimes the brain overheats. That is when you yawn. Do you know what the scariest thing about yawning is? Right now, just because I mentioned the word yawn, you probably feel the urge to do it. Why is it more contagious than a virus? Is it empathy? Maybe, but the biological reason is much more practical. It is a CPU cooling fan. Your brain consumes 20% of your body's energy and generates a lot of heat. When you are tired, your brain temperature rises, slowing down processing power like an overheated laptop. A yawn, opening the jaw wide and inhaling deeply, acts like a radiator. It brings cool air into the mouth and sinus cavities, cooling the blood vessels that travel up to the brain. As for why it spreads, scientists believe it is an ancient pack survival mechanism. When the alpha leader yawns, it signals a state transition. If the whole pack yawns together, they synchronize their sleep cycles or alertness, ensuring the group stays safe from predators. Finally, let's talk about a fact that will make you question your entire schedule. We're always taught that sleeping for 8 solid hours is the gold standard. If you wake up at 2 a.m. and can't get back to sleep, you think you have insomnia. In reality, you are the one sleeping correctly, according to history. Before the invention of the light bulb ruined our circadian rhythms, our ancestors practiced segmented sleep. They would go to bed right after sunset, sleep for about 4 hours, this was first sleep. Then they would wake up around midnight. This period of wakefulness lasted 1 or 2 hours and was called the watch. What did they do? They prayed, read by candlelight, discussed philosophy, checked the farm animals, or most commonly, had sex. Medical texts from the 16th century even advised that this was the best time for conception because the body was rested from the first sleep. After this chill session, they would go back for second sleep until morning. The Industrial Revolution and artificial light forced us to compress our sleep into a single 8-hour block to maximize factory shifts. So, if you wake up at 3 a.m. tonight, don't panic.
It's just your ancestors whispering that it's the prime time to do something more interesting than staring at the ceiling. But what happens if you refuse to sleep at all? Not just for one night, but for 11 days straight. Will you die? Or will you start seeing things that normal people never see? Brace yourself, because in the next part, we will witness the terrifying collapse of the human mind and the strange diseases that turn sleep into a death sentence. So, you think you can cheat the system? You think you can pull an all-nighter, down 3 energy drinks, and function like a normal human being? Let's talk about Randy Gardner. In 1964, this 17-year-old high school student decided to find out what happens when you refuse to close your eyes for as long as humanly possible. He wasn't being tortured by the CIA, he was doing it for a science fair project. The goal was to beat the previous record of 260 hours. Randy managed to stay awake for exactly 11 days and 25 minutes. Spoiler alert, he won the science fair, but he almost lost his mind. The timeline of Randy's descent into madness is a perfect case study of how the brain disintegrates without REM sleep. On day 2, his eyes stopped focusing. By day 3, his sense of touch vanished. He touched objects and said they felt like sandpaper, even when they were smooth glass. Then came the hallucinations. On day 4, Randy started hallucinating that he was a famous black football player playing in the Rose Bowl. This was particularly strange because Randy was a skinny white kid who couldn't tackle a pillow. By the final days, his cognitive functions were so fried that when doctors asked him to subtract 7 from 100 repeatedly, he stopped at 65. When asked why he stopped, he looked at them with dead eyes and said, "I forgot what I was doing." Randy Gardner proved that you can force your body to stay awake, but your brain will eventually check out, leaving you as a walking, talking zombie with the memory span of a goldfish. But here's the twist. You don't need to stay awake for 11 days to experience a brain shutdown. In fact, you might have done it this morning while driving to work. It is called microsleep. Have you ever been driving on a highway, zoned out, and suddenly realized you have no memory of the last 5 miles? You didn't teleport, you were asleep. Microsleep is a temporary episode of sleep that lasts from a fraction of a second up to 30 seconds. During this time, your eyes might remain open and your hands might still be on the wheel, but your brain has gone completely offline. This is your brain's emergency power save mode. When the pressure to sleep becomes too high, caused by adenosine overload, local regions of your brain will simply switch off while others stay on. It is like a rolling blackout in a city. The terrifying part is that you are technically blind during microsleep. Your eyes are open, receiving light, but the visual cortex isn't processing the images. You are effectively driving a 2-ton metal missile at 70 miles per hour while completely blind. Statistics show that drowsy driving kills more people than drunk driving in many regions, simply because a drunk driver can at least try to hit the brakes. A sleeping driver doesn't brake at all. While microsleep is a silent killer, some sleep disorders are loud, violently loud. Imagine you're just drifting off to sleep, enjoying that sweet spot between wakefulness and dreams, when suddenly, bang, a gunshot goes off right next to your ear. Or maybe it sounds like a bomb exploding or a cymbal crash. You jolt up, heart racing, looking for the intruder. But the room is silent. Your partner is sleeping soundly. There was no noise. It was all inside your head. This is exploding head syndrome, and despite the cartoonish name, it is a terrifyingly real experience. For centuries, people thought they were possessed or having a stroke. The reality is a bit more technical, but equally glitchy. As you fall asleep, your brain shuts down its systems one by one: motor, visual, auditory. Usually, the auditory neurons dampen sound so you can sleep, but in people with exploding head syndrome, there's a short circuit. Instead of shutting down gradually, the auditory neurons fire at once in a massive surge. It is the biological equivalent of a microphone feedback screeching through a speaker. Your brain interprets this sudden neural flare-up as the loudest sound imaginable. So, if you hear a bomb go off tonight, don't call the police immediately. Check if your brain just blue-screened.
However, hearing noises is harmless compared to what Ken Parks did. If there is a Hall of Fame for things you don't want to do while sleeping, Ken Parks is the undisputed champion. In 1987, Ken, a man with a history of deep sleepwalking, got up from his couch, drove his car 14 miles to his in-laws' house, strangled his father-in-law, and stabbed his mother-in-law to death. He then drove to the police station, walked in, covered in blood, and said, "I think I killed some people." Here's the kicker. Ken Parks was asleep the entire time. He had no motive. He loved his in-laws. His defense team argued that he was in a state of homicidal somnambulism, sleepwalking murder. Experts analyzed his brainwaves and found his sleep patterns were chaotic, allowing motor functions to work perfectly, while his judgment and consciousness were totally offline. The jury believed him. He was acquitted. This case terrified the legal world because it proved a dark truth. The you that you know, the moral, conscious, law-abiding citizen, can be turned off, leaving a primitive, automated machine in control of your body that is capable of complex tasks, including murder. But if sleepwalking can kill others, there is one disease where sleep itself kills you. It is called Fatal Familial Insomnia, FFI, and it is arguably the most horrific way to die known to medicine. It is a rare genetic prion disease, the same type of protein malfunction behind mad cow disease that attacks the thalamus. The thalamus is the gatekeeper of sleep. It is the switch that tells your brain to transition from awake to asleep. In FFI patients, prions eat away at the thalamus until the switch is broken permanently. Imagine being tired, bone deep, exhausted. You lay down, close your eyes, but sleep never comes. Not for a nap, not for a minute. Days turn into weeks. You start hallucinating. You lose the ability to speak. Your body temperature fluctuates wildly. Panic attacks become constant because your brain can never reset or clean itself. Eventually, after months of pure torture, you die from total systemic exhaustion. There is no cure. Sleeping pills don't work because the chemical receptors they target are already destroyed. It is a real-life curse where your own DNA condemns you to a death by eternal wakefulness. After hearing about death by lack of sleep, let's address a lighter yet persistent myth. If you die in your dream, you die in real life. We've all heard this playground rumor. The logic goes that the shock is so intense that your heart stops. Is it true? The short answer is no. The long answer is, your brain is a drama queen, but it's not an assassin. When you have a nightmare where you are falling off a building or being chased by a serial killer, your amygdala, the fear center, activates the fight or flight response. Your real heart rate increases, your real blood pressure spikes, but your brain has a safety limit. Before the fear reaches a lethal level, the brain realizes the simulation is getting too dangerous for the hardware, and it pulls the emergency brake. It wakes you up. That is why you always wake up right before you hit the ground or right before the monster's teeth sink in. The shock of waking up might make you feel like you're having a heart attack, but unless you have a serious pre-existing heart condition, a dream cannot kill you. You are safe. So, we have survived the terrors of sleep paralysis, avoided the madness of insomnia, and proven that nightmares won't kill us. Now, let's go deeper. Let's leave the physical body behind and enter the software itself. Why do we dream? Why do blind people dream in smells and sounds? And is it true that every stranger you meet in a dream is someone you have actually seen before? Get ready to question reality, because in the next part, we are hacking into the matrix of the dream world. So,
You have survived the physical torture chamber of sleep paralysis and the mental collapse of insomnia. Now, let's step into the theater. Welcome to the dream world, the only place where you can fly, breathe underwater, and show up to work naked without getting fired. But have you ever stopped to ask, why do we dream? Is it just the brain's screensaver? Is it a message from the universe? Or is it something far more practical and desperate? Let's start with your nightmares. We all have them. You are being chased by a faceless monster, you are falling from a skyscraper, or the classic, I have a math exam in 5 minutes and I haven't studied. You wake up sweating, heart pounding, thinking your brain is trying to torture you.
But evolutionary psychologists have a different theory, the threat simulation theory. Your brain isn't torturing you, it is training you. Think of dreams as a virtual reality flight simulator for survival. Thousands of years ago, if you froze when a saber-toothed tiger jumped out, you died. So nature designed a way for you to practice almost dying without actually dying. Every nightmare is a dress rehearsal for the worst-case scenario. The monster chasing you? That's predator evasion training. Falling? That's reflex training. Showing up naked to a tribe meeting? That simulates social ostracization, which in prehistoric times meant death by exile. Your brain is forcing you to face your fears in a low-stakes environment, so that when the real threat shows up in the waking world, your neural pathways are already paved with the fight or flight response. So the next time you wake up screaming, say thank you. Your internal drill sergeant just finished a session. But if dreams are visual simulations, what happens to people who have never seen the world? Do blind people stare at a black screen for 8 hours? Absolutely not. The dreams of the congenitally blind, those born blind, are a chaotic symphony of the other 4 senses. While you are busy looking at pretty colors in your sleep, a blind person is experiencing dreams through intense sound, touch, smell, and taste. Studies show that blind people have nightmares 4 times more often than sighted people. Why? Go back to the threat simulation theory. For a blind person, the world is a much more dangerous place. Navigating traffic, avoiding obstacles, and social interactions rely heavily on auditory and tactile cues. Therefore, their survival simulator has to run on overdrive. Their nightmares are filled with the sounds of screeching brakes, the feeling of falling into holes, or the terror of being lost in a silent void. Their brains are working overtime to map out dangers using the data they have. It is a reminder that vision is just one input. The brain can construct a terrifying reality out of nothing but whispers and vibrations. Now, here is a frustrating question. If dreams are so important for survival, why do we forget 95% of them within 5 minutes of waking up? You have this epic adventure where you save the galaxy and fall in love, but by the time you brush your teeth, it's gone, like smoke. Is your memory broken? No, your neurochemistry is just switching gears. When you're asleep, 2 key neurotransmitters responsible for forming long-term memories, norepinephrine and serotonin, are completely shut off. Your hippocampus, the memory hard drive, is active, but the save button is disabled. It's like writing a document in Word but never hitting Control-S. The moment you wake up, these chemicals flood back into the brain, but they wipe the short-term buffer of the dream state to prepare for real data. This is actually a safety feature. If you remembered every dream as vividly as real life, you would eventually lose the ability to distinguish between reality and fantasy. You wouldn't know if you actually had a fight with your spouse or if you just dreamt it. The brain deletes the files to keep your sanity intact. But sometimes the files aren't just deleted, they're corrupted by technology. This is one of the weirdest facts in modern psychology, the grayscale generation. If you ask anyone under 30 what color their dreams are, they will say full color, obviously. But if you ask people who grew up in the 1940s and 50s, a statistically significant percentage of them will tell you they used to dream in black and white. Why? Because of television.
Before TV, everyone dreamt in color, but when black and white TV became the dominant visual media in the mid-20th century, it literally hacked the human imagination. People spent so much time staring at gray screens that their brains started rendering dreams in monochrome. It wasn't until the 1960s, with the arrival of Technicolor, that dreams returned to full color. This proves a terrifying point. Your dreams are not pure creations of your soul. They are recycled scraps of the media you consume. We are literally downloading the aesthetic of our era into our subconscious. This recycling process leads us to a phenomenon that is even creepier than déjà vu. You know déjà vu, the feeling that I have been here before. But have you ever experienced déjà rêvé? It translates to already dreamed. It is the sudden, shaking realization that the situation you are currently in was exactly what you dreamt about 3 weeks ago. You're sitting in a cafe, your friend drops a fork, and the sound triggers a flashback. You saw this. You dreamt this. Is it a prophecy? Are you a psychic?
Science is a buzzkill, so here is the explanation. It is a filing error in the brain. Usually the brain tags memories with a timestamp. This happened yesterday, or this was a dream. In déjà rêvé, the brain gets lazy. It experiences a new moment, the fork dropping, but accidentally files it into the long-term memory folder instead of the short-term folder. Instantly, your brain tricks you into thinking this new event is actually an old memory from a dream. It feels like a prophecy, but it is actually a glitch in the matrix of your own mind. You aren't predicting the future, you are just mislabeling the present. Finally, let's talk about the cast of characters in your nightly movies. You see hundreds of faces in your dreams, strangers walking in the background, a killer chasing you, or a random old lady on a bus. You think your brain invented them? Think again. Your brain is incredibly powerful, but it is not an artist. It is a collage maker. It cannot create a new human face from scratch. Every single stranger you see in your dreams is someone you have seen in real life. Maybe it was a guy you passed on the subway 5 years ago. Maybe it was an extra in a movie you watched as a kid. Maybe it was the cashier at the grocery store who you didn't even consciously look at. Your brain snatched their face, stored it in a massive character assets library, and waited until you fell asleep to cast them as zombie number 3 in your nightmare. That monster trying to kill you in your dream, that might just be the mailman from your childhood home. This means your mind is a graveyard of forgotten faces, constantly resurrecting people you thought you'd never see again to play roles in your subconscious drama. You are never alone in your head. You are accompanied by every stranger you have ever glanced at. But here's the chilling realization. Up until now, you have just been a passive victim. You were the victim of the paralysis demon, the victim of the exploding head, and the victim of the movie your brain decides to play each night. You were just a spectator strapped into a roller coaster you didn't build. But what if you could unbuckle the seatbelt? What if you could wake up inside the dream, look around, and realize none of this is real? What if you could stop the nightmare, turn the monster into a puppy, and fly into the sun? And even crazier, what if you could use that time to learn a new language, solve a math problem, or practice the guitar, and wake up actually smarter than when you went to bed? This isn't science fiction. This is called lucid dreaming and sleep hacking, and it is the closest thing to superpowers that human beings actually possess. In the next episode, we are going to break the laws of physics. We will teach you how to hack the matrix of your own mind, explore the terrifying truth about inception, and discover why the future of humanity might depend on hibernation. You do not want to sleep on this. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now. If you don't, the sleep paralysis demon might just pay you a visit tonight. Comment "Wake Up" below if you are ready to take control of your dreams. See you in the next deep dive.